welcome to the shores of the magnificent Lake Bolsena for the 4th World Carp Classic. Fourth night of the World Carp Classic. I've got some great guests with me this evening. I've got Henrik Hansen from Northern Baits. I've got Nick here from the team who's going to be helping compare the show this evening. And we've got action from all sorts of different things that have been going on throughout the lake today. And the whole excitement of the World Carp Classic this year is building up as more and more fish are being caught, and the leaders are starting to show that, and the fish are coming from all sorts of different areas of the lake. So it really is getting exciting. But we've had all sorts of things go on during the course of today, and it's been a tremendous day altogether, Nick, hasn't it?
It's been a manic day, that's for sure. I think for us guys and the anglers, for sure. We went round, I think we did 7 or 8 interviews with some real big names today from all over Europe and the world, outside of Europe. We were lucky enough to see 2 fish come out just as we were shooting past. They went, oh, there's a fish. Slam on the brakes. Lloyd, who's working with us, shot out with the camera. I got the stills out, and we made the most of the opportunities. We caught up with Frank Warwick and Peter Coopins, and I know National TV were obviously down here as well from Italy, catching up with one of the Team Dynamite guys. And I know tomorrow we've got just as manic a day. We're going to go and catch up with Henrik in a bit more detail with the Northern Baits guys. And yeah, I mean, today's been exciting. Fish are starting to come out a bit more regularly. And I think, to be honest with you, if you're in the top 3 now, you're
starting to get
squeaky
nervous,
bum
aren't
time
you?
now. Yeah, definitely squeaky now. You're thinking, oh, I've got a chance of winning the biggest event in carp fishing, and we could get the first ever all-female pair winners as well.
Yeah.
I know the Dynamite guys are fingers crossed on that. A picture went up on the Dynamite's Facebook page earlier, and I think it's got over 100 likes in like 10 minutes or something crazy.
Right.
So there's an awful lot of support for the girls. And I know Henrik also thinks, I know you're in their team now as well, aren't you?
Of course we are. Of course we are, yeah, definitely. Well, the thing is that once that they're definitely on there, I want to cheer on for the girls. I think that's a great
Because I think you've sort of understood that you probably haven't got the greatest chance anymore.
So what are you saying?
You could have an amazing couple of nights, but
yeah, I know. I definitely see that I don't have a chance at the moment. But the girls, I really want to cheer for them because that would be a first, and that would be very exciting to see them go up on the stage and
I think
show us all how it's done.
Yeah, I think for fishing in general,
yeah.
I know we had a really good Facebook question about it, which I know we'll come back to later.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of excitement and there's a lot of support. If you don't think you can win, very similar to Henrik, most people are in their camp now, aren't they? Hoping.
But I think that's all part of the spirit of the whole event. I think the World Carp Classic is about it's a great international celebration of carp angling, and I think what this is, whoever goes into the lead, it's been nip and tuck over the last few days, and not only that, is they know everybody that's competing here and those people that have competed in the event previously know how difficult it is and what it feels like to actually win this event, from the sheer effort of going out, catching fish, and then just non-stop. And it really is. There's a lot of pressure that actually builds up.
I mean, we're on the outside of that pressure. We've got our own pressures, but these guys are working pretty damn hard. And obviously, Henrik's here working as hard as anyone trying to make things happen in your guys.
Oh, we definitely are. We're working hard, that's for sure. Yeah.
So you're a runner for your team? Is that?
I'd love to be right now, I can tell you that. No, I'm actually an angler, and my wife's a runner for us, and me being the gentleman, I'm doing all the hard work myself.
You've got your pregnant wife running for it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
you can imagine how much running she'll be doing.
Okay.
But it's hard work, but it's fun to do it.
Has it been exhausting? Is it physically draining on you as an angler for 4 days in
Well, the
now?
first day when the rain came about and stuff, it was a bit like, but then after that, it was really just. I mean, it's all exciting, you get on the looking in the binoculars or whatever you call them, and seeing that bottom and finding that bit and get your bait in there, get it put in there on the right spot where you think, I'm more comfortable now, we'll get him tonight, and
you can get into a routine then. And
exactly. It becomes, as you're progressing, as you're fishing on, it becomes easier and easier to get that bait set in the morning, and you've got your little routine going.
You know how far it is, you don't have to look so hard to find it.
Exactly, that's another thing. Yeah.
But looking at, the background to Northern Baits is actually quite an exciting one. I think that's something when I was first introduced to you and we started talking and you explained how Northern Baits came about, I was fascinated.
Well, it's really like a group of interested friends. Like I said to you, Ross, that it's not many people about in Norway fishing carp and coarse fishing and stuff like that. We are a few, and the few that we are getting very serious and stuff like that. And I found Sturla and Kenneth on the local water. I mean, I found them. We met. I found them. We met on the local water, and it was very exciting to meet these guys and find out there was people just as much into it as myself, so that really meant a lot. And then of course we started talking. I got together in Sturla's garage making bait that we all been making before individually.
Yeah.
And we got more and more serious about it, reading up more and more and sharing experience and stuff like that. And then finally we managed to get ourselves a nice little piece of kit that can actually produce a little bit of boilies, and had the best time.
Where is that? I've heard a lot of excitement about.
It's Middle Earth.
I've heard it's known as the Bait Cave.
It's the Bait Cave, and we're proud of that name because it is a very dark place, and it's very close to where I live, in the bottom of a farmer's place, and that's where we're proud to be. And now it's the exciting time.
I mean, when we talk about, obviously we've been talking about the size of the event and the work and everything else. It's been really interesting. It's not just us guys that have found it enormous. We've actually had national TV here today as well.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Who caught up with Daniele and Riccardo, who we interviewed yesterday on the live stream. It's amazing to see national recognition for the world's biggest carp match. And I think we've actually got a little video that Ross is going to talk about to sort of show you what happened when those guys came down.
Yeah, we'll come back to that sort of later on. But I think what's kind of exciting, Henrik, is the individual backgrounds that you've all got as part of Northern Baits. I mean, there's Sturla and the whole kind of thing. Can you just explain the other backgrounds that the normal day jobs that the guys have got?
Yeah, you see, Norway. We're working. There's a lot of people working offshore. Sturla is working offshore on the oil rigs. And he's got 4 weeks off in one go, which is fairly nice, very nice for him.
Can't argue with that.
No, can't argue with that at all, you know. And Kenneth works for the commune, what's it called, the government around our area?
Yeah,
the city council, there you go. And I'm a self-employed, we help on the fish meal factories, the pellet factories and stuff like that. So.
But I think that's perhaps understating what you do. You actually kind of help construct fish processing plants.
Yeah, some big engineers design and they
that's more
hire
like
us at Gophers, you know. We come in and help them out, you know. Yeah, do this, do that. Okay, we'll check that out. Well, why don't you do this, and we'll try and help them out a bit, the best we can. I've been doing it for a good 12 years now, and it's been great to be a part of that, and it's within the field of the bait making a little bit as well.
Well,
you know?
if anybody's got any questions you can ask us those directly live on screen here. There's Facebook and Twitter that you can actually ask us those questions on. We'd be happy to take those questions, and we'd encourage you to, because we can actually answer those questions live here on the set this evening.
So just quickly on you're obviously working in the factories and working with that. Has that given you a real insight into how you make Northern Baits, the actual carp boilies?
It gave us an advantage, you know, to good materials and to the right materials at the right time. And I mean, when we need them, I mean, you can sort of talk to people that are employed in the factory. What kind of fish comes in? What kind of stuff do you have now?
Yeah.
And obviously Norway is the place for cold and good fish quality products, and we got a good advantage sitting right in the backyard.
And it's fresh and
it's very fresh, you know.
It's
it's still steaming when you pick it out, you know.
Right, okay.
But yeah, it really is a big advantage for us to have it like there, and it gives us good opportunity to test a lot of new stuff. And now, as the winter comes, that's our prime time. That's for when we go into the cave and
you
forage
around
do this and do that and try this and that.
Play a bit of music. You do that as well.
Oh yeah, well the music that's the fun part. I'm a DJ and Sturla and Kenneth are punk musicians, so we have a lot of fun with that. That's definitely sometimes they stop that bloody music, and and I'm progressively turning it up, and we have a lot of fun with that in the cave, and we are really becoming closer and closer as friends in the same time,
From
really
that.
are.
Well, look, let's go back to the Italian TV guys that came down. National TV came down to see us down at Lake Bolsena today. They actually seen what we've been doing on the live set here over the last couple of days, and they became intrigued. They came down to see what was going on. So, what actually happened was the guys actually came down. We were talking about what was going on, and we went down to one of the swims where Ricardo and Daniele were, and the area of the lake that the guys were fishing was an area over towards Gradley. It's an area that's producing fish at the moment, and of course, with the Italian guys down there, they really did want to get a background and insight as to what was going on. They're asking questions, in-depth questions about the event, about what happens, the benefits to the local population, and really how many different countries are participating, because it's more than just a carp angling event or an event that just happens with a few guys getting together, as I trust you're all aware by now. It really is an international group of people getting together and coming down to descend. And why Bolsena was one of the questions. Well, Bolsena, it's a tremendous lake. It's a massive lake, massive numbers of carp in the lake, and along with that, it meant that there was the different angles on that. How much of the lake was being used, and when we said, well, pretty much all of it, there's a section that we've discounted from last year because there were fish. It didn't fish that well, but we're still using a massive area of this huge lake. It's intriguing to see that the reaction from the local community, and indeed they're coming back again tomorrow. So it's yeah, it was great to see them here, and looking at what's actually going on with the Italian TV and many other TV companies that are covering the event. But if you've got any questions, please feel free to ask us. There's one that's come in actually, which has intrigued me. How did I get the idea of starting this competition? That's a good question. I'm not sure I'm not sure we've got long enough on the show this evening for me to give the full answer. But effectively, it was. I've always been involved in organising events throughout for many years, and being a lover of fishing and golf, I decided it was a good idea to get some anglers to go over to France initially for a fishing event, and the event was organised in conjunction with the Angling Times in the UK. And we ended up with nearly 150 anglers going over to France, match anglers, pleasure anglers and carp anglers. And quite frankly, it was quite an experience. That the carp anglers went off to an area of the lake, caught some huge fish the like I'd never seen before, and that was the introduction to carp angling. They were great fun. They're really good fun to be with, and the match anglers and the pleasure anglers, well, they were all placed in an area of the lake which was absolutely windy, wet and raining, and what then happened is basically the carp anglers were better fun, and I looked into what was going on and thought, well, there's nothing really around. Let's organise a massive, great international celebration of carp angling, and here we are today. The World Carp Classic was born. So I know that Nick, you went along and had a word with Frank today, and had a few words with him, didn't you?
Yeah, I did. I mean, obviously we keep sort of plugging and pushing the social media side of things, but from our point of view, it's the perfect way to sort of interact with people in one easy place.
Sure.
So obviously we're getting a load of questions coming through. The odd moan, because every now and then someone wants to see some information the instant it happens, when it takes a few minutes to verify and things. But that's all good, because it encourages. We know we can talk to people instantly and respond to them. And one of the things that we did was actually ask people specifically for some questions for Frank, and I'm sure we've got a little video to show a couple of those answers later. And it sort of goes to show that we do listen.
Yeah.
We did the Lee Jackson one yesterday or the day before. I'm losing track of my days, which obviously came from Facebook. And I'm pretty sure I'm going to go and grab one with Henson tomorrow.
Yeah.
Which will come through this evening, but I know you've got to shoot back because you are fishing, and hopefully you'll have a few fishing when you get back, and your partner will be exhausted.
I was just thinking that,
Yeah. Can you imagine? It would be nice to come back and find a few full sacks of great big Bolsena and carp.
So how do you actually feel, Henrik, if you go back and he's got a 30-kilo carp on the bank?
See, there's always a competition in between mates and stuff like that. So
you're a team.
Knowing my teammate, he'll be on me definitely. So I as much as I'd love to have a fish, I'd still be like, oh no, here we go.
I'm going to get ribbed for that.
Yeah, exactly.
In the meantime, let's have a look at the interview you did with Frank earlier on today, Nick.
Thanks for being with us.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you.
Okay.
Hi guys, I'm down here with carping legend Frank Warwick in his swim. We've got a couple of questions on our social media that we asked earlier for you to give us for Frank. So, hi Frank.
Hello mate.
We've got a question here from a Mike Madley. He says, you've fished all over the world. Is there one particular rig that you've got the most faith in?
Well, yeah, I tend to use it for England and all the lakes that I fish really. Lake Reduta, Cassie and everywhere. It's just a long shank blowback rig with, I don't use silicone because a lot of people use silicone on the long shanks as a blow or a ring. I use a shrink tube that's fairly tight, a piece about 5mm long, opposite the point of the hook.
Yeah.
Use a 10mm hair minimum. Some people use the bait very close to the hook. I don't. I use it a bit longer for the separation. I tend to use no rigs less than 7 inches. Some people go very small on the rigs, but when I'm fishing for particularly big fish in the continent, I like the rigs to be at least 7 inches long. I use the coated hook length quite a lot. Various types, you know, don't get precious over which company makes them, as long as the ones that I like. Expose the last 2 inches, little blobs of putty down it, perhaps 3. Sometimes a safety clip, sometimes I use it running, or an inline for a breakaway, for a quick release system. If I'm fishing on the continent and boating and I'm using braid, I tend to use heavy leads, because with braid you can get the wave action and it can drag your lead out of position, you know. So I use heavy leads, and in England I use heavy leads as well. 5 ounces minimum, even if I'm margin fishing. So, but the rig itself, yeah, long shank blowback. And the reason I use the shrink tube as the blowback is if I get done and the fish has got rid of it, they've got quite a lot of power when they're blowing the bait out. At least I know then that the fish has blown it out and got rid of it, so I know to put more bait in. When you've got a ring on, it can just be fired back and forth and you're getting no indication, you know. And silicone's too easy. You know, you can just get it come out of position on the cast and things sometimes.
Yes.
So that's the reason for that.
Okay, thanks very much.
Yeah.
Frank.
Okay.
Well, I'd like to introduce and welcome back Daryl Hodges from Dynamite Baits, who's going to join us this evening for the rest of the show. Daryl, welcome back, and I trust you've had an enjoyable day.
Enjoyable is an understatement. It's been a fantastic day. Obviously the Dynamite teams are doing fantastic, and yeah, smile as wide as my ears.
Yeah, we've had a busy one though, haven't we?
Yeah, we've been around the lake 3 times today.
3 times?
3 times, wholly around the lake. Turn up and seen 3 fish caught as we just turn up, which is great. One of them for Bianca and Lizette, which is fantastic.
Yeah, I mean it is brilliant, because the likelihood of you bumping into a fish,
slim.
when we were going as far and as quickly as we are, is slim. So for you to have seen 3 and me to have seen 2 today is happy days, and to even get a little bit of live footage, it might be a bit shaky, but of it actually happening is fantastic.
So you guys could be lucky charms, is that what you're saying?
Yeah, I think so. So we'll pay the same people a visit tomorrow, I think, and we'll just keep.
I'm going over to Lee and Tuffy tomorrow.
Okay, well, I'm going back to Lizette and Bianca.
You go there. We'll see who's got the biggest pull. Yeah. But it would be nice to see an English team up there anyway.
Yeah, it would.
Obviously,
as long as they're third.
Yeah, as long as they're not first in your eyes. But yeah. But there's definitely all sorts happening, isn't there?
Oh,
it's different areas now as well.
Yeah, it's really good. I mean, we're going to go and pay Andrea and David a visit as well over towards Capodimonte from, again, Fishing Dynamite, Shimano. I think they've now on 6 fish as well, so they're doing really, really well.
That's good.
I mean, through the social media today, we've heard from a fair few people, Owen Myers being one of them.
Yeah.
And I know that he's had a few in the Carp RS section.
Yeah.
And when we spoke about it yesterday, that was blank. So he's had a couple, and I think a few of his neighbours have had a couple as well. We're verifying those as we speak.
Yeah.
I think there's only one area now that isn't showing fish at the moment, and you know that if the wind kicks in there, I'm sure it will. But it does show that this is the perfect place for it, because it's going to be one from a totally different area to last year, isn't it?
That's for sure. I mean, it's really interesting to see the areas of the lake that were fishing well last year, and in comparison to this year, are completely and utterly different. I mean, the lake itself, it's a totally different section that's producing the numbers of carp effectively. But I think what's also interesting to see is that there are less carp at the moment overall that are being caught compared to last year. But there's still lots of different areas that are producing. So I think we're going to be coming on to, there's some Americans that actually caught some fish earlier on today as well.
Yeah,
Nick?
we caught up with a few people as we drove past. We've got a VT to sort of demonstrate, because we jumped out the car very quickly. And that will be rolling in a second, and I sort of talk through as best I can what happened and what was going on at the time.
Sure, should we have a look at that now?
Yeah, I mean, obviously we were in the car following Darryl around, and very quickly Lloyd grabbed me and said, "Fish," and I sort of looking around, where is it? And looked down to our left and could see the boat coming in. We shouted out to Jason Can, who you can see towing the boat there like a mule, and I said, Jace, is a fish on? And Darryl had also asked him, and he said, "Yep, Larissa's got one in the net." The guys were literally on their way back in with, which was actually quite a unique carp for Bolsena. It was a much darker common than we've seen, and as you'll see in a second, it was much guttier. It was
right.
It was a me version
of
a Bolsena carp.
Surely not. Nick.
Yeah,
That'd be a
it was. Cheers for us. But you can see there, it's much deeper and a bit more squat than some of the others. But it was a real gutty fish, which obviously they were chuffed to pieces with, and they've both caught now, Larissa and Jason. And I think that was their third fish.
Yeah, third fish, yeah.
Yeah, so they look like they've got a spot sorted.
It was interesting because we went round to see, we were around that part of the lake yesterday, and to see that they were saying that the fish were shown around there, and it certainly proved to be right.
Yeah, you can see from that picture there on screen, it's a much darker, a much bigger fish.
Yeah, it's the darkest one we've seen today.
Yeah, and you can see Jason spending an awful lot of time caring for it. Making sure that everything here is looked after 100%. We'd asked him to get the old pegboard in for us so we could see what swim they were in, and obviously Jason being really confident with the fish, as is Larissa. Jason's just taking care of it, making sure everything's sorted and safe. Swam away really strongly, like they all do here. They don't hang around and sort of wallow around in the margin. They're off like Exocet missiles as soon as you put them in the drink.
Yeah.
Goes to show really how fit they are and how well they're looked after when they're on the bank. You can see there's a lot of care and attention goes into everybody's captures on there.
Yeah, I think that, one of the number one priorities we've got is fish welfare and and fish care. So I think that's it's good to see that really is being demonstrated properly there.
Yeah, it was something the guys spoke about yesterday as well in the Italian interview.
Yeah.
About the catch and release system that they've got here at Bolsena. It was really good to see.
Well, there's a question that's just come in from Barry. Any information on what the Bolsena carp record is? And have anglers caught fish in the lake at 30 metres plus? There's two questions that have come in from Barry. So in answer to the first question, the lake record is currently 32 kilos. And that was caught not so long ago. That's the official lake record. But because this lake is fished by commercial anglers as well, they've got nets out in the lake. There have been carp caught up to 40 kilos in the nets. So that really does, and I'm not surprised about that, looking at the size of the lake.
I have no doubt that there is much bigger fish in here. I mean, that fish there is known as the queen of Bolsena, isn't she? The big comment that's come out. And if you scroll down probably hundreds of pages on the World Cup Classic Facebook, there is a couple of images of that last capture on there that we put up a few months back. And the guy had it in some horrendous conditions. So that's that one, Barry. The queen is the big girl in here.
But also what was interesting is the guy had been fishing at range. He'd been fishing at 400 metres. Caught nothing for 4 days and decided to actually cast out just almost an underarm flick, no more than 40-50 yards from the shore, in over about 1.5 metres, 2 metres of water, and that's where the fish came from.
Yeah, I think there's a lot to do with the weather as well, being a little bit dodgy going out at 400 metres range, because I remember the pictures were crashing over him as he was getting the fish out of the sack.
That's right.
It was in a behemoth storm, I think, and obviously it was ideal. Obviously, but everyone knows that they follow the wind, especially on a water this size.
Yeah.
And often they'll be very close to the bank where all that sediment's washed up.
Sure.
I think some of the guys, talking to some of the anglers today around Marta side, the waves also were pretty huge last night. I mean, Peter Cuppins, who you'll see a videotape of in a bit, they were getting water into their shelter, and also near...
What were they? They were about probably 1.5 metres, 2 metres set back from where the water was, and we went round there this morning. But you could see the tide line.
And they were getting water into the shelter, and they were thinking of to move back, and also speaking to two Latvians around near Lizette and Bianca, and they were also the same. They were getting water literally right in just side their bivvy, and getting a little bit worried.
Well, I know Lee Jackson and Rob were nervous about having to go out and play fish where they were, because they're kind of on a point that then narrows down into a bay where they're sort of at the back of. So it's a real funnel in there as well. and the waves over there were going well over the top of the boat and sort of putting quite a bit of water in it.
Bianca was flipped in last night also, getting into play a fish. She got into the boat and the waves
Flipped
just flipped
over.
the boat over, yeah. So
and she ended up in the
ended
drink.
up in the drink for a quick swim. Yeah.
Okay, lovely. Well, lucky it was in the
3 o'clock in the morning, just what you
was
want.
in the edge and not at 300 metres, I guess. But yeah, so that's the answer to the big 'em.
But
The second part was about the depth, I think, wasn't it?
yeah, no, the distance from the shore.
Okay.
About how far out? No, it's actually how far out to actually fish. I mean,
Yeah. I mean, that's something that makes us laugh, isn't it? Because obviously we've got the distance markers at 250, which is further than technically they can fish outside of competition.
Sure.
I think the local law is 150 metres, and you've obviously managed to get dispensation to get even more room. But when we've been sitting here last night, we were the night before.
Fish were crashing 100 metres,
if that.
Yeah.
And also when I first went round that first morning, when I was full of excitement, almost like I was going to be fishing, I was up early, it was almost dark, and I went to see Ron and Remco, and it was all misty, and literally, it was almost like thinking if I was in England, I'd put 3 chod rigs out on that and stick a load of bait out. I mean, they were within 40, 50 metres of the bank, and I've no doubt that at times they could easily be caught within 10 metres of the bank. As long as the depth's there, and in a lot of places it is, you only need a metre, 3/4 of a metre, and they'll very happily come up into that. So
as long as the conditions are right and that wind's coming in, for sure they're going to come.
And it certainly makes a big difference with the wind. I mean, that certainly seems to be the case, and really the reaction to, you can see where the wind blowing in a certain direction and the amount of fish that are actually getting caught from those banks. It is really quite noticeable.
It's a direct correlation, isn't it?
Yeah,
if
it is.
the wind's blowing there, they're doing better.
Well, look, there's another question that's come in. What's the general feeling around the 2 ladies from the Netherlands taking the fight to the guys? Who would like to answer that one?
I'll take that one.
I'll let Daryl start with that one.
I would say the general feeling is go girls. I mean, the feeling that we've been getting, say we happen to be lucky enough to be round there when they caught their 18 fish. So we literally got some pictures on Facebook and a little story, and it was 100 likes within 15 minutes.
Really?
And so the views and
is that on the Dynamite Facebook?
On the Dynamite Facebook, there was 12 comments, I think, and it's only been on there 2 hours, and it's all really positive. And it's, I mean, as the guy from Northern Baits was saying, he's now supporting them. We're getting really good feedback when we're speaking to other anglers around the lake, and everyone's rooting for them. And from my point of view, it couldn't have happened to 2 nicer girls.
Yeah, they're working. They're working
really
hard.
Really hard.
It's not luck, is it?
No, it's not luck. It's not luck at all.
Everything they're getting out of this match.
You know, they have had some comments, and there's some jealous people out there, but they know what they're doing.
That will happen whether it's a girl or a boy.
Yeah,
at the end of the day.
Very true.
I don't. You know what? From my point of view, I think it's fantastic for fishing in general. It's obviously a massively male-dominated sport, and I'd be very surprised if it doesn't stay that way. But
this could change some minds.
But this would definitely give other people a little push to think, I can enjoy that.
Yeah,
sport
I can
too.
have a go at this.
Yeah,
as well.
and it's all about enjoying it. I mean, this is an extreme level. You know, don't think this is the place that you've got to fish if you're a female and you want to start fishing, because this is hard work.
Yeah.
And those girls have been doing it a long time. But you can chill out and fish some much easier waters, much smaller, more manageable places, and have a fantastic time. Doesn't matter whether you're a man or a woman.
Yeah.
And I think it would be great for the event as well. That the first ever female pair would get in, and obviously Dynamite are rooting for them on a couple of levels.
Let me just correct you there, just a bit. It's not the first female pair ever, because there was the first female pair ever that participated. I think it was in 1998 or 99. Is Pip and Jemima from Carp World.
The Carp World.
They actually participated in the event, and in fact they caught a fish. They went to Jetfish Island, I seem to remember. So anyway, and they were part of the winning team. But the Carp World team. Okay. But we haven't had a winning pair of ladies to actually win the event. We've had a lady as part of the winning pair. Because that was Mark Gardner at Lacamont and his wife.
So that would be exciting.
Yeah, absolutely.
Exciting.
And now we might have both.
Yeah, indeed.
And I think the most important thing to stress is they have worked so incredibly hard and will continue to work hard until the final hoot. So they deserve it, don't they?
They do deserve it. And I think one thing you picked up on, they're having fun. They're really, really enjoying it. They're really enjoying it. I can't stress that enough.
Easy to enjoy it when you're in the lead, when you've been in the lead since the first morning.
Yeah, but they are just.
I think
really
they'd enjoy it even if they were blanking, wouldn't they?
I think so.
Yeah.
So it's fantastic in answer to that question, and everyone's behind them.
Yeah.
So next question that's come in is looking at last year's catch rate against the catch rate so far, what elements are playing to the lower numbers of the catches this year? So basically, I mean, looking at last year, there were a lot of fish that were caught very quickly in the event, effectively. Less fish being caught in terms of total numbers, but still good numbers all the same.
I think that's a lot to do with the wind. Again, I know it sounds like we're dragging the wind out for every answer, but last year, obviously I wasn't here, but I've done a lot of research into what happened last year. That wind was kicking in one direction for a lot longer.
It's actually in a totally different direction. It was actually heading due south.
It was there a while, wasn't it, before we got there, so they had time. I mean, you've got to remember, this is not a 12-acre lake that gets affected instantly by the wind. It takes at least a day
lapse,
for a wind to kick up enough and to then move the fish, because they could be moving 15, 16 miles from one bank to another, depending on where the wind changes. So I think that's the key. The wind has gone in 4 different directions, changed 4 times.
And last
since we
night
got here.
really was windy.
Yeah,
last night was savage, wasn't it?
My hotel patio doors were rattling all night, and I noticed the big banner on
World Cup Classic
was flapping around in the square, and I was like, "Whoa, I'm not going near that."
Yeah.
So I noticed it's gone today, so it might have took off somewhere. I don't know.
It didn't quite turn into what it could have turned into.
But it was pretty.
It almost felt like we might get a cyclone coming.
Yeah.
It felt like it.
But the wind was just all it was. We didn't really get any rain or lightning and thunder like we did at the beginning of the week. But as you said, it was savage. I mean, we're up on a hill where Ross and I are staying in the HQ, and I went out sort of 10:30, 11 o'clock.
It was blowing a gale,
and it was dangerous up there. And I wasn't in a boat and anywhere near the water.
You'll be all right.
I don't think I'm going anywhere fast.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that's the key. I think the wind was blowing in. There was. I think the difference this time is there's more areas catching.
Yes.
So the fish are spread out across a wider group of people, where last year, because the wind was in a direction for a much longer period of time, those people had it off. And because the wind didn't really change, I think the wind's been great for us because it's given more people an opportunity.
It's almost swirling, it really is. I mean, it's been going all over the place.
It's been switching all over, hasn't it?
Yeah.
And I think another consideration is the fact the water level is much, much higher. I mean,
that would definitely make a difference as well,
in areas that we had like really big, long, sandy beaches, we've got like 1.5 metres, 2 metres of beach now.
Yeah, I guess that kind of is affected by the distance markers, although I think this is further this year than it was last year, if I'm correct. That's probably kind of negated by the fact that maybe 20 or 30 metres in a lot of spaces have been eaten by water.
Yes,
So if it was 250 metres with the water level last year, you might just be past the weed line in a lot of places. But this year, because you basically only got 20 metres extra than what you had last year because the water has come so high.
I think another consideration, because it's that much, it's a month later, the areas that the weed was very, very high last year and really dense, it's dropped.
Lower down.
It's much lower down.
I mean, it still is savage, that weed in a lot of places. I mean, I made a necklace out of one earlier. It was incredibly tough, and it was a weed that I've never seen before.
Right.
Like a very obviously a unique weed for here, but it was very tough, very sort of wiry leaves. But it was the sort of stuff that you'd expect to see in an aquarium. I think in Rob and Lee's and the guys, Peter Cubbins, who were with earlier, it was 6 or 7 feet at least, wasn't it? In 100
There's some interesting plants all around the bank, actually. I look at them and think, these look tropical.
It is tropical, isn't it?
It is.
I mean, you sit here now and the reeds aren't the sort of reeds I'd ever seen before. It's almost like bamboo.
Yeah.
And everything is it's like its own little microclimate.
We went over to see Keith Turner not far from the marina around from Bolsena, and literally you're almost crawling through bamboos.
Undergrowth.
Clothes, it's unbelievable, but it's really
the
nice.
amount of work that you and Andy Chambers must have done to have found
access.
these swims is phenomenal. Because, I mean, I've been round 10 times, say, and I still have no idea where I'm going. I still use the sat-nav all the time just to get around the lake.
Well,
to find the tracks down to the water, you must have spent hours and hours taking wrong turns and going down dead-end tracks. And
No, tell me about it.
I mean, it must have been an incredible amount of work.
So going back to the question, Ross, sorry, one of the points a couple of times I've heard today, I think it was over in Ardy's swim actually, when we were over with Larissa, the guy there was saying they'd had a couple of locals with the long lines and the nets out, and they were coming very close and almost inside the 250.
Right.
So they had to have a word, and they moved it in the end, but obviously these long lines, as we saw in the boat, were ridiculously long.
They are long.
And that could obviously prevent some of the carp coming in if they're sort of, I don't know how deep they go, but if it's across the swim.
I think that's a good question. I think the commercial anglers have been really good this year. I mean, what they did.
20 fish.
We actually spoke to them, and given the problems we had last year, where they were actually putting nets right in front of some of the swims, what we've done, we've spoken to them, and they've been great this year. We've actually given them a much bigger area to work with, because of course, you know, they live here all the time, and it's a question of sharing the lake as well. But
I mean, they've got to make a living at the end of the day.
Yeah.
I mean, just because we're here, everyone's still got to eat, and the kids need shoes on their feet. So, I mean, they've, you know, without sounding too sort of negative from a fishing point of view, they still need to be here.
Yeah.
Don't they? We can't
But I
just get
think
them to leave.
what's happened this year against last year is there's much greater cooperation.
Yeah.
They're working with us, we're working with them. They're respecting the fact we're running a World Championship event here at the lake, and I think that's really important. So really, we'd like to thank all of them and thank the local community as well, because it's not easy to put this event on, and without their cooperation, it makes it a lot harder. That's for sure.
Yeah, there's a fair amount of disruption, isn't there, to their local sort of going about thing. You see people come down to their usual swimming spot in their speedos at 6 in the morning, and there's a hairy, great big angler in the middle of it, and
there's also no beer left in some of the bars.
Yeah,
absolutely, yeah. Look, the leaderboard's just been fired up for us, just to let us see it and have an update on what's going on, and it looks like Bianca and Lizette are up there with 183.1 kilos with 20 fish.
That's a huge amount of work, 20 fish.
That's 2 fish in the last 3 hours.
And next to them, it's the guys from Austria, and they've got 146.6 kilos with 12 fish. So it's interesting because the Austrian guys have actually got bigger fish in their area, but there's actually less of them.
That could change that one.
And then of course there's Lee Jackson and Rob Tuff chasing up the rear there in 3rd position at the moment with 10 fish and 100.6 kilos.
It's great to see 3 different countries up there as well.
Yeah.
3 different people in the top 3 representing 3 different countries.
Right, well look, let's go to one of the VTs we've had with Peter Coppins. I think it'd be good to catch up with what he's been up to over the last few days and see what he's got to say.
Hi Peter, would you like to introduce yourself?
Yeah, I'm Peter Coppins from Belgium. The most of my time I fish in Belgium, but this is now the 4th time that I'm competing the VCC. I'm sitting now on spot AT&T 37, but I didn't caught any fish. It's rare, but the wind is blowing just this direction, and it's rare that the fish is not moving in this section. So maybe the next days we can catch a big fish like I did in Belgium, but we're going to try to do everything to manage that.
I mean, on this section, the ATT section, Peter, it has been fishing a little bit quiet now. Like you know, you only need 1 fish. There is a prize for the biggest fish, so I know you'll be certainly plugging away for it. Is there any? Can you just fill us in a little bit about the tactics that you're using, or what you've been trying and changing here?
The first days we try to get a line of bait in it. I put it up with 3 markers. 1 marker at the line of 250 meters. That's the point that we were allowed to fish. And then I put 2 markers back, and I put them in a V. At the right side, I put the bait, most of part of the bollies in it, and at the left side, I did all tiger nuts and chopped tiger nuts, and I fished on those 2 stretches and two places, and I fished 2 rods near close to me and 2 rods far away.
I'm sure if there's any fish there in the area, with your knowledge and experience fishing with Davey, I'm sure you'll catch something.
Yeah.
Now I'm going to put you right on the spot here, Peter, live on camera.
Yeah.
If you could choose 1 dynamite bait boilie for the rest of your life, what would it be and why?
It would be the source bolly, because it was at the first years I have used a lot the source bollies than all the other range, but I have very much confidence in the source bait because it's something still different than other bollies. The source bolly has a smell that is not in any other range of any other brands, and also with the crushed eggshells in it.
Yes.
It gives a little bit of crunchiness, and the source is also a little bit harder bolly than the rest of the range of dynamite baits.
Well, that was Peter Coppins and Gerard having a chat there about the bait preparation, what he's been doing, and how he's actually getting on with this event. But the questions are coming in fast and furious now, and thank you very much for that. Please don't hold back. carry on firing them in. There's the next one that's come in. How much bait approximately will be used by each team? That's a good question.
That's a big answer.
That is a big question.
How do we answer that one?
I think like anything, it'd be impossible to do as a final figure. Although I'm sure we'll give it a crack, because as we said earlier, Lizette and Bianca have gone hard.
Yeah, very heavy.
They've gone hard or go home style, haven't they?
Yeah.
And it's paid off. I don't think you'd admit how much you've driven over there, but you've gone over 4 times with extra bait.
We've been over a few times now with extra bait for them to keep them, make sure they don't run out.
I did see a cheeky pot of tigers. 2 pot.
Maybe 1 or 2.
Yeah, so it's not just boilie.
No, it's not just boilers.
So they're getting through an awful lot of bait.
But if you look at it, if you look at the fact there's 4 rods that the guys have got out there, and the amount of bait that goes in per rod per day, if you say between 5 and 10 kilos per rod per day, do you think that's reasonable?
I think a bit more, to be honest.
Well, it depends if you're catching, doesn't it?
Yeah, it depends. Like I say, if you're catching and you're getting your rods in and out more regular, I mean, you put your rods out, it's easy to put 1 or 2 kilos down each time you put a rod out. And I think, Lizette and Bianca are certainly putting plenty of bait out.
But I think the answer would be if you're catching, you could easily get through 10 kilo a day. Minimum.
Per rod?
Minimum.
Easily.
So that's 40 kilos a day?
Yeah.
Easily. And that won't just be boilie, I'm sure that as we've obviously...
A lot of pellet, a lot of particles.
Bait-wise like that. But I would imagine people that are in tough areas are probably trying to keep it tidy. Small baited areas, just trying to pick 1 fish off here and there. But I think on average, you can work for an average, and it's a fair few tons.
So it could be anywhere between 200 and 300 kilos per pair of anglers.
For the week catches, yeah, definitely.
So if you're looking at that number, multiply that by the amount of anglers that are out there, that's a fair amount of bait. But I think it's important, the type of bait that's going in, it's all kind of, it's nothing against the water. It's it's all nutritious.
From the lake's point of view.
It's all good stuff. And I mean, I know even the people that aren't catching. I mean, we saw Peter Cuppins earlier. I know the amount of bait that he took over with him, and in fact, as Nick commented on, he's got a whole bivvy for bait. So clearly, he's not putting in as much at the moment. He's putting in plenty, but as he's looking down, he's seeing that a lot of the bait's not being eaten at the moment. Whereas women in the next swim, their bait's being eaten, but they don't think it's the carp. It's probably the chub and the tench that's coming in and taking the bait.
Wim's the competition winner.
Correct. Yeah.
He's caught a few now, hasn't he? I think?
No, he just had the one which he's lost. But the fish are being around the area and their bait is being eaten.
It's kind of on the edge of it, isn't it? Where the fish are.
I'm optimistic they'll get one tonight.
Yeah. I mean, at the end of the day, we've still got 2 nights left.
Yeah, I think that's the point. I think, looking at bait, it was fascinating when we did the underwater coverage earlier on in the year, just to see what physically happens with the bait. There is a big undercurrent, and all the particles and everything just were disappearing very quickly.
Yeah.
And I think
the
that
light
was
ones and definitely off pretty quickly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that was quite a revelation.
I don't
really
think we gave an exact answer, because I don't think that's possible. But in short, a lot
of bait.
A lot of good bait that the fish are going to eat one way or another, and it won't do any harm at all. But you were talking earlier about me having a manic day, and earlier on in the week I caught up with Ron and Renko, who are fishing for JRC Gulp, because they're friends of the World Carp Classic, and we wanted to sort of keep catching up with them. So I actually caught up with them again today to see how things are going. Last time we saw them, it was right at the beginning. I know we've got a little video to show how it's going so far.
Well, let's cut to that then.
Hi guys, I'm Lloyd from the World Carp Classic. We've just come down to Spom 78 to catch up with Ron Vanderberg and Renko Ackermans. Hi guys, how you doing?
Good.
When we last spoke to you, you'd have seen a brief video about it on the live stream. The guys were just setting up, getting ready to fish this mighty lake. They've had a couple of fish now. They're doing all right. So we're just going to have a little catch up with them and see how they're getting on. So, Ron, how did you go about approaching it?
Well, in the beginning I already said what our plan was. He found some spots in the weed and he fished behind the weed. I was trying to fish in the middle of the weed, but here the weed is everywhere, like 3 feet, 4 feet high, so it's so difficult to do. So we have been trying to clear some spots, and at this point we only found one spot where we caught some fish. That's a Remco spot. And it's working a little bit, at least.
Brilliant. Okay, Remco, so you're the man that caught them, you're the man that done it. What size are they?
The first one was 10.4 kilos, and the second, second one was 10 kilos. And yeah, it's rod that produces is just behind the weed. It's going, the depth is going down, and it's a clear spot for around 7 meters, and the bottom is rock hard, and there we had 2 bites on now.
Brilliant. Okay, so what sort of distance are you two fishing to try and catch these fish out?
Yeah, I'm fishing further out now, behind the weeds. I think it's probably 170 meters out, and Ron is now fishing more to the side and closer in, and found some clear areas now at the right side, also closer into the margins.
Yeah, it's the same depth, but to reach the same depth, I'm fishing now at 6.2 meters depth and 7, and it's the same depth, but only from shore it's maybe 50 yards.
Oh, okay, so not too far at all then.
Yeah, it's not so far, but it's really a clear spot in the middle of the weed. I do not know why the clear spot is there, but at least I put a lot of bait in, and I have full confidence for the next night, for the coming night at least. So I'm almost sure the fish will be there.
Brilliant. Okay, thank you very much, Ron. Okay, good luck.
Yep.
Well, welcome back to this next and final part of the show. We've had a few technical problems down here on the beach this evening, operating the equipment. So apologies if there's been any loss of sound, but delighted that sound's back up now, and we've got Andy Chambers joining us. Andy, welcome to the show this evening.
Thank you, Ross. Pleasure.
So it's been a big event. Like all big events, there's all sorts of challenges, and being the head marshal on this event, how have you found that this year?
That's been very, very good this year. Obviously, we've brought in the sector marshals, which has taken off a lot of the pressure. Obviously, they're dealing with the smaller disputes, like the boundary disputes, distance disputes, etc. So I've had little less to do than I've normally done. So I've been able to get around the lake, see the marshals, look after them, make sure they're fully equipped with radios, spare radios, whatever they need. So it's run a lot smoother than it has done perhaps in the past.
They really are the unsung heroes, the marshals, aren't they? They come from they come from a college, don't they, or a university studying fishery?
Yeah, we've got a mixture this year. Obviously, some more mature students, and obviously mature marshals, and they've really done a great job. Because this year, rather than having the fish sacked at night, we've asked them to go out whatever the time,
right,
to weigh the fish straight away.
Exactly.
And they're obviously doing the photographs. They've got extra elements to do this year as well on top of that.
Exactly. They've got the app to do, so with a photograph to get the results in.
So how do you become a marshal? If someone wants to be a marshal in the World Cup Classic next year, how would you go about that? Is a little pic that I caught up with one of the guys earlier. I think that guy's called Luke, if I'm correct. I could be wrong. But it just goes to show, you've got to weigh the fish, the security. Obviously, got to get everything extra signed, triple signed. So there's a lot of work that goes in. But yeah, how do you go about being a marshal if you wanted to be a marshal at the World Cup Classic?
Well, I think fortunately, I mean, there's lots of volunteers we actually get with the World Cup Classic, and I think that initially we worked with 2 different colleges, Sparsholt and Shuttleworth colleges, and we've done that for a good number of years. And then in conjunction with that, what we've done this year in particular is to get in some senior marshals as well to work with them. So we've got a combination of experienced, mature anglers and marshals, mixing that with the fisheries management students that we've got, and that's actually turned out to be a very good combination, because obviously when you're dealing with some of the mature anglers that are on the lake competing in this competition, when there are difficult decisions to be made, of course, we will, and I will make sure with Andy and the rest of the team that they get the full backing from us. But sometimes when you're confronted with a difficult decision to make, it's important that the right decision's made, and it's important to have a proper presence there. And I think this year is a very good blend of the mature anglers, marshals, and the expertise of the fisheries management as well.
Yeah, exactly. Couldn't agree more. It's worked really well. I'm really, really pleased with the work they've done.
So how many marshals do we have here this year?
It's 35 marshals is the amount of marshals on site, and then
that's a serious undertaking, isn't it? To get that many people out here, to brief that many. I remember being with Andy at the very beginning, and when you had to do your brief, mobile phones, how to use the app, how to use your catch sheets. Obviously they've heard it before, but just a refresher.
Yeah,
I mean, it's a serious undertaking, Andy, isn't it?
There's a lot to take in at the start, and obviously as well, once we've done that, once they're on the bank as well, I'll go around again, just to make sure they understand. Because obviously when we're at the marshals meeting, there's a lot to take in. Yeah. So I always go around the following morning when the competition starts, just to make sure they're happy with everything they've been given and they know what to fill in, etc.
Okay. So how does the communication work? Is it walkie-talkies, mobile phones? How do the guys?
It's a mixture. Obviously, I've got the walkie-talkies. We've got the backup of the phones. And obviously, we've got the sector marshals going round, and obviously, we've got myself as well going round.
So you've got a handful of the younger lads who are basically the ones doing all the running around with regard to the section.
The longer sections.
And then there's like a middle manager above them where
the sector manager who will look after perhaps 4, 5 or 6 marshals on the bank.
Looking after the food and all the rest of it.
Etc.
Making sure the sheets are correct.
Exactly. Okay. And then they'll then come to me on the, as a line management
for any serious sort of issues that need a resolving.
Exactly.
So it's a proper structure, isn't it? I mean,
everything here.
Yeah.
And I think that's important. When we're dealing with such a vast area, and we have to build our own communication system here, and I think that's just one aspect about what we're doing. But I think with the utilisation of the phones this year, we had a sponsorship agreement with. In fact, it's a second-hand phone company. But what we've got is HTC phones, which are absolutely brilliant and working perfectly. With the SIM cards, which means that we can operate via 3G to update all the information by the marshals with the app that the Ron's actually built for us, and that in itself has been supported by the VHF radios that we're utilising as well. So there's a system A, and if that fails, then we've got a system B. So it's important, particularly as we're operating, not only from a safety point of view, but it's a 24-hour, 24/7 operation. And I think that's a big thing, Andy, isn't it?
Exactly, yeah. Without radios and the communication around a lake, it'd be almost impossible to know what's going around.
Just to interrupt you there, it looks like there's another fish come in. It's Lisette and Bianca. It's 196.1 kilos now with 21 fish.
Yeah, also on that, I know going around the lake, just bringing some of the sheets back, that Lee Jackson and Rob Tuff have been overtaken by an Italian team. I believe in peg 46 with around about 103 kilos.
Really?
Which is to be updated. So the Italians are on the march.
All right. Oh, goodness
me. So obviously regarding that, the guys, obviously this is being updated as we speak by HQ at the moment. You've had a sneak peek because you've taken the paperwork to verify it.
That's it.
So those guys that are wondering why they're not on the board now,
it's
being done as we speak. So if you come back in an hour or so, give it 2 to be 100% safe. That will all be relevant and up to date.
Exactly. And I had to have a chat with them because they were wondering why they weren't on the leaderboard, and I had to explain the scenario. Right by the port of Capitamonte. They catch him well, so they could be a threat overnight.
Yeah. So I mean, do you want just? I think it's important that the viewers actually understand how the marshalling actually works and the recording of the catches and the backup system that we've got for that. There's the paper system, which is the one that the marshals and the competitors have. But do you want to run through that process, Andy?
Yeah, obviously the marshals will have a sheet and the competitors will have a sheet. Obviously, when a fish is caught, both sheets will be completed, the marshals will sign both sheets, and also the competitors will sign the sheet, as well as the app we're using as well, where I'll take the picture and complete the details of a peg number and the reference number, send it to HQ, and obviously once HQ have got the paper sheets at the end after 5 o'clock each evening, they'll then put it live onto the system.
So it's basically a triple check?
Yeah.
So that's why it's difficult to make it 100%.
It can be a bit frustrating. Yeah, it can be a bit frustrating to make it 100% live, but obviously we want to make sure it's accurate and up to date correctly.
We've got a few pictures of fish that have been taught. Look at that one. Look at that great carp there. That was
a rare mirror carp.
While we were out with Peter earlier, obviously he was struggling for a capture. But he did say that this was one he caught earlier.
That was a pillow carp.
Yeah, so I thought I'd get a quick snap of that one on my way round. That was just before we caught up with Larissa and Jason.
Right.
But yeah, there's
Do you know how much that one weighed?
I think that's about 7 kilos. It just scraped in with,
Right,
with
right.
regard to the.
That's the first mirror of a competition as well, I take it.
Yeah, yeah. There might be an award for that later.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, he was a great lad and well up for a laugh. But these are some of the photos of the just ones I bumped into. That is a Bolsena carp through and through. That one, long and powerful, real golden colours. So you can see that is the epitome of a Bolsena carp, that one. If you came out here yourself, that's what you're catching. Absolute stunners. And honestly, I've never seen a fish fight like it.
Every single angler, I mean, all the experienced anglers that have fished all over the world are coming here and saying, yeah, these Bolsena carp are real fighters.
Yeah, this is actually some of the marshals at work as we speak. I did have a little moan, where's your T-shirt? But he'd been up all night long and it was caked in rubbish. So it was in the wash at that point in time. He was apologetic for it. I mean, I don't think they got hardly any sleep last night.
No, some of them are last two nights. Some of them haven't.
Yeah,
you know, especially in the busiest sections.
If you're gonna put yourself up for it, you've got to have you've got to go hard, haven't you? Those marshal boys, because you've got to have some gumption. Otherwise, you're going to run out of energy.
You've got to run out of steam.
Yeah, exactly.
That was the fish on the scales. So in English money, just over 26 pounds, 12 kilos. So not a huge fish bowl by Bolsena styles, but it seems to be sort of the average weight at the moment.
Yeah, between about 9 and 11 kilos. Yeah. You know, it's been a little bit disappointing. Not seen any of the real big kippers, but there's still a couple of nights to go.
I think that's what makes it exciting, because those people that are sitting there in sort of 6th, 7th place, sort of 50, 60 kilos down, they're thinking, oh, I've got no chance. That's 2 fish.
Yeah, 18, 20 kilo, three 18, 20 kilo fish.
You're winning the match. Yeah. I mean, we had 3 on the live stream in 2 days.
Yeah, we did.
So when they're there,
they are there.
Yeah.
And it happens. You can see the weight off your shoulders when you bank one in a match this size, and obviously he was over the moon.
But there's a lot of sections to be won as well, because I mean, if you're first, second, third overall, what that actually means is that you then can't win the section as well. So therefore, if you're second in your section, you become the section winner.
You've got individual matches happening in their own right anyway, haven't they?
Exactly.
So those boys that are on the section that are struggling, or only 1 or 2 fish, they've still got all to play for, because the prizes are amazing.
Yeah.
So I mean, I'm looking forward to getting in here next year and hopefully getting a prize.
So you want to fish next year?
I'll be fishing next year.
Oh, that'll be interesting.
I'll be fishing next year.
Get those yellow and red cards ready, Andy.
Oh yes, I think I've got one for him.
Just because I'm from Essex, I'm a stroke puller.
Yeah.
No, I'll stick within the rules until it gets dark.
And I'll have my night vision for
you.
you.
You're Marine.
And I think you're big enough, I'll spot you.
Yeah.
I'll wrap myself in ice, so you can't spot me. But yeah, that's the exciting thing, isn't it? It's still all to play for. Really.
Exactly. Yeah.
But I think we're wrapping up for the night, Ross.
Yes, I think it's that time of the evening. We're just coming into the penultimate show of this year's World Carp Classic for the night showings anyway. We're going to show you a photo montage of different things that have been caught during the day. Ask us any questions you like on Facebook. Carry on asking us those, and on Twitter as well. And we look forward to seeing you again tomorrow night, same time, same place, from the shores of Lake Bolsena. Thank you very much for watching.